Welcome everybody. Let's begin sitting. Keep it simple. Be intuitive about it as well. So changing it up right off the bat might be a good idea. Every day, this practice of awareness and in our embodied human context, right? See if you can just allow for the exhale, allow for the enjoyment in the breath. Maybe the feeling of gently letting go through the exhalation, or maybe engaging or showing up in the belly, in the core a little bit more. Allowing for the in-breath, for the inhalation to be patient, received. Taking a step back and just observing. Push the sitting bones down just a little bit more, more active engagement of the ground. And as you push the sits bones down, there might be a tendency for the pelvis to roll back, to tuck. So as you push down through the sits bones, push them back as well a little bit, so the pelvis leans into the moment. And you might feel an invitation or an activation to gently engage through the legs and through the hips, through the pelvis, the buttocks. And the low belly, below the navel, kind of zooms backwards a little bit towards the sacrum. Something to recognize as it follows this tonality follows the intention to sit up a little bit more enthusiastically. So we have this deep support down in the core, the lumbar spines stacking up, the trunk of the tree. Releasing the back of the cranium up as the tail relaxes and plays down. Let the diaphragm, the base of the rib basket, slide back a little bit without tucking the pelvis. And then let the chest spread out, the collarbones getting longer and longer, the shoulders resetting a little bit more down and behind you. The shoulders out to the sides, very wide across the upper chest and the upper back, and let the head back up a little bit, leaning back against a tree. In the stillness of the forest. Feel this in your eyes, the spaciousness of the temples, either sides of the cranium, opening up the great bay windows of the side body. Ushering the inhalation not only into the back of us, but out to the sides, spreading, finding your wingspan. But when you exhale, it's non-contractive. When you exhale, spread out a little bit more and get a little taller. If you want to feel your core in a more subtle way, get a little taller, very subtly, every time you exhale for the next 30 seconds. Change the way that you're sitting. bit taller through the crown. You get very creative in the core. Fantastic, everyone. So let's come lying down on our back, but before you do that, cross your legs with the right leg in front, and then come laying down. And keep the geometry of the legs, though. So at first, allow yourself to melt pretty thoroughly through the deep groin, through the inner thigh, through all of the pelvis, the sacrum, through the belly. Just kind of melting and spreading. Chest, shoulders, the lungs, the heart, even the neck and the voice, and the cranium. Kind of spreading out, pooling consciously. And then to activate the core, to ignite the core engine, we're going to keep sort of melting for a moment, but find your sitting bones and point the sitting bones down and forward, like underneath your ankles. You're going to create a small back bend in your low back. Keep that for a moment. Turn the legs on all the way around the bones. And then with the sits bones pointing forward and down, a little space under the lower lumbar, drop the belly slowly. And try to find the difference between dropping the belly and contracting the belly. They are similar, but it's really about intention. The hollow belly is going to drop towards the ground, towards the spine, the lumbar vertebrae getting close to the ground without losing the pelvis. The difference is, instead of compressing the belly, we're simultaneously opening the lungs and the inter-rib space, the intramuscular, intercostal space that's between the ribs, to really let the lungs flourish and branch out in every direction. Drop the kidneys, open the neck, open the cranium, soften the eyes, behind the eyes. And now it's becoming quite strong. So the legs are on. You're going to press your legs down into the floor. Take the knees away from each other without moving the feet, like you've got a great rubber band around both knees. Keep hollowing the belly towards the spine. And then really open the fullness, every leaf and twig of the lungs, the upper branches of the body. Last couple of breaths. You might be working so deeply that you're trembling slightly, which is deeply activating and also helps move micro trauma out of the whole system. Turn on the arms, pull the shoulders into the ground. Now keep all of this strength as you push your legs out, straight out in front of you, without going slack. And once the legs are fully long, push through the heels and then slowly let all of that power, or most of that power, relax. Feel the release into length of the entire spine, from tail all the way up to the back of the brain. Now bring the legs in, folding the other way. Left leg in front. And start by being generally soft, like pretty molten. Start with the sitting bones and point the sits bones forward and down underneath the legs, which will, of course, cause a little bit of a back bend in your lower spine. But that's one half of an equation. Turn the legs on, press the legs, in general, press the legs down into the ground. Keep the sits bones dropping. And then let the belly, start with the lowest belly below the navel, let it drop towards the sacrum, towards the lowest lumbar body. Bringing the lumbar spine closer to the floor without tucking. Then the middle belly drops, and you're having to really open your lungs. You have to open the back of the lung, the side of the lung, and the front of the lung. Dropping the upper belly and the kidneys towards the floor. So you're kind of hugging the ground in the belly, pointing the sits bones forward and down. Glutes are gently on. All of this language trying to describe the overall activation of the lower half of the body. And then really open the breath, the back and the sides and the front. Really opening the lungs, blossoming the lungs. A lot of times when we sort of have the programming of relaxation, we melt the entire body. But how do you stay in the core, stay activated in the lower half, but really open up the chest and open up the lungs without losing the core fire? So this is a metaphor of doing something in our lives that it requires a lot of power, a lot of strength, and being able to be soft and open at the same time. Last couple of breaths, really working here. Draw the knees away from each other, trying to broaden the sacral plexus, the inner thighs moving away from each other, the brows moving away from each other, hopefully. Now stay strong, stay really strong, and we're going to keep all of that power as we push the legs back out. Oh, slow, 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 like there's resistance to moving the feet forward, and then you're going to let it all consciously fade. Oh. Allow for your breath. The unfurling of the senses. A very positive experience. All right, beautiful. Now, creatively find your way back up to a seat. Sit cross-legged with the right leg in front of everyone. All right, so start to move without touching the floor quite yet. Start to move side to side, leaning from side to side. And you want to go eventually far enough to float one side off the floor. So the leg you're leaning away from, the hip you're leaning away from is going to float. Now pay attention to the matrix of the belly, the weaving of the belly, and let it be strong and towards the spine the whole time. When you load one sitting bone, leaning onto that one side sitting bone, lean a little more forward on that sits bone, but pull the low belly back a little. Try to keep the buttocks on the whole time, but not fully, just gently supporting. So much of what we were just activating in the lower half of the body is showing up now, but now we're in this bilateral pulse. Toning and opening the obliques, the three layers of the torso, even the deep transversus abdominis. We're opening up the hips, we're opening up the knees and ankles. Now because the right leg is in front, when you lean to your left, you can start to put the left hand down and set the right leg. And setting the right leg just means that the knee can pop up and the foot is down. This is an option. It's not necessary, but it's an option. Then when you go over to your right, you can use the hand. But then the left leg doesn't set. The left leg you're going to get a stretch of that left lateral ankle. So you're going to tone that space. Go easy now as you start to really expose the back, the sides. You're going to feel it on the back of the side. Getting into that QL and the spinalis, and it's so tasty. So remember, you're not looking for the stretch though. The stretch is there. Try to strengthen that space. Activate that space. A little tip, if you're feeling a stretch in your side belly, activate the same side buttocks when you're in the stretch zone. Turn stretch into action. So opening up the range of motion now as you use your hands more. You can use the free hand to assist if the shoulder's got too much of a load. Also make sure the loaded shoulder blade is pulling away from the floor and also towards the tail. super strong. Grab on with your fingertips. You can get so low that you actually touch one temple or the forehead to the floor. Now, what we're going to do is everybody come back up and just kind of place yourself in neutral space for a moment, because you're deeply stirred and you want to give yourself a chance to feel that and to breathe that. Very stimulated. And if we can discern, navigate the stir, we can also very much let go through the exhale and ground ourselves. Of course, reference to sitting bones. Now what we're going to start to do is lean to your right. Keep the legs, right leg in front. Lean to your right. Set the right hand down or both hands down. Lean into it as we have been doing. And then push back up consciously. Go over to your left side. Put two hands down. And then fly your right leg out to the right. And look out over the right leg. Lift the heel higher than the toes if you can. Then push back up. Wrap the right leg in front. Lean over to your right. Right hand only or two hands if you want, if you need to. Push back up. We're just going to continue like this for a couple of hours. So fly the right leg out to the side. You can use one hand if you've got this. If your left shoulder's okay, you can have one hand or use two. Come back up. Right leg in front, lean to the right. Pull the shoulder head away from the floor. Draw the kidneys back. Oh, yeah, good. Over to your left side. Lean on to one or two hands. Fly the right leg. Pick up the heel higher than the toes. Let's do two more, everyone. Wrapping the right leg in front as you come up. Now don't tighten the neck. Keep the neck as soft as you can. So you have to look around softly. It will really help you. It helps the neck get unbound and unfatigued. On the left side, flying the right leg. Careful with the left shoulder. Use your free hand if you need to. One more time, coming up. Is this fun? Literally rocking the boat. Oh, you can grunt like I'm grunting. You can make sound. It's okay. You're at home. You guys on Zoom, you can do whatever you want. Just mute yourself, please. I'm just kidding. You're muted anyway. Come back up. Pause. Switch the way the legs are crossed. Left leg is in front. Oh my God, wow. So if there's residual tension in the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the heart, the lungs, wherever you're feeling it, try to recognize, acknowledge the spaciousness that may be trying to open up in the deep bowl of the pelvis, the deep, deep belly, behind the lungs, behind the heart, all the way up to the back of the brain. And give that a soft focus, like the eye of the swirl. So you have some capacity to choose your alignment in your midline. Okay, now like a drunken monkey, you're going to fall to your left. Catch yourself on your left hand. Oh, again, strong belly. Pull the kidneys back. Shoulder blades totally together. Come back up. And then go over on your right side. One or two hands. Fly your left leg out to the left as you fall. Take the heel higher than the toes. Oh, very strong through the whole body. Come back up. Left leg folds in front. Lean into your left side. Protect that right lateral ankle with a little tone through the right lateral shin. Come back up. Go over to your right. Fly your left leg opposite your lean. Use your arms, your shoulders. Try not to collapse the kidneys, the belly towards the floor. Come back up. Lean left. Just getting really creative with this. Come on up with this old shape of sitting. Push the left heel higher than the toes. Turn the left buttocks on. Come back up. Breathe freely. Keep it soft though, if you can. Coming back up. We're going right now. Left leg flies. Push. Reach the left leg. Oh my goodness. A couple more. Leaning left. Take care of your joints, people. You don't hear that every day. Rock to your right. Fly your left leg. Okay, Here we go. Last one. Coming up, lean to your left. Now slow it down, half speed. Twice as strong everywhere. Leaning slowly into the left hand. Coming back up. Lean right. Fly the left leg one last time. Come back up. Sit cross-legged with the right leg in front. In fact, no, take the legs out wide-ish. Toes up, heels down, knees bent. Stay here for a moment. So the opening of the inseams of the legs is a sacred space. The inner thighs are deep and rich, and let the inner thighs breathe like another set of lungs. Lean just a little bit forward by pulling the sitting bones back, pulling the fabric of the ground back with the sitting bones. Lean just a little bit in 30 degrees. And then dip your right shoulder just over the right knee, and then come back up. Same thing on the left side, just giving you some ideas. Now, when you feel the stretch in the hamstrings, you got to pull that heel down into the floor more. You need more strength. Go over to the right side. Come back up. And left side. Okay, this time as you go over to the right, take the elbow outside the knee. Just touch the floor. Come back up. Same thing on the left. Very conscious, friends. Track yourself. On the right, a little bit further outside the knee. And on the left, a little bit further outside the knee. Beautiful. Good. Now, lean the right shoulder over the right knee and then sweep through the middle, chest level at the center, come out over the left side, shoulder touching the leg, and come up. And then reverse. Go in on your left, roll through the middle, over to the right, and come up. You're trying not to fall into stretch sensation. You've got to be strong. So go on your own. You reverse every time you come up. You go back in the way you just exited. So go slow enough to breathe. Go slow enough to soften the eyes. Slow enough to feel everything, to engage what you need to engage, and to let go of what you need to let go of. This takes a lot of deep, complex discernment that we find through the movement. Rolling through the middle, the arms getting creative. Last couple of rounds. The backs of the legs should get nice and toasty here. Oh, yeah. Okay, now we're going to come on up. That's going to be really yummy. Turn the legs out. Fold the legs in slow. Doesn't matter which way. Yum. There's a lot going on in the world. There always has been. Take full advantage of presence in the moment. All right, now we're going to lift ourselves up into any kind of squat. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be symmetrical. It could be heels up, heels down. It could be asymmetrical. But whatever it is, put your hands on the ground and slowly start to explore it. You're going to move around in it. Go slow. So to take care of your knees, first of all, put more weight on the hands. But more importantly is point the foot and the thigh above that foot in the same direction most of the time. This is more important when we're loading the legs more. With the hands down, it's not too bad. So moving around and playing with different things. Letting the head look around freely, side to side, up and down, just kind of, it's not, your practice is not to be loose to the point of being slack or being rigid to the point of being stagnant. It's really trying to find the spectrum from one side to the other. And also to try to feel, everybody, what's necessary to do this human thing of squatting. What do you need to do to take care of yourself? Let that inspire the tonality. So now, take the legs out wide, the knees out wide like a frog. Now you're on the balls of the feet. Feet are pretty close together. Take your arms inside the knees and start rocking side to side, bringing a knee down to touch the back of one hand. The wider you can go with the hands, the more you're going to get this in the groin. And you want to also pull the knees into the arms. Activate the groin. Activate the inseam. Now, you can soften your eyes. Now imagine moving the top of the planet side to side with your hands and your feet. It's like a monkey on a giant beach ball. You're spinning the top of the whole planet side to side. You're that strong. Just ignore the person next to you who's doing it in a different direction, because that would really mess up your brain. It's an orientation to the inertia of something as large as the planet. It turns your body on in a deep, deep way. Move the ground to move your body. Side to side. Last couple of moments here. Okay, now we're going to slowly lift the hips into the shape of folding. Take your feet hip width apart and start moving side to side here, very slow, like very slowly. Knees bent, hang the head. Get very, very proficient at hanging the head off of the spine in the fold. And looking side to side pretty frequently to loosen up any residual tension in the neck. Now, same thing as what we were just doing in the squat. As you move side to side, okay, you might bend your knees enough to put the hands down and turn the hands out. And you're still lovingly tossing the top of the planet side to side with your feet and your hands. This is going to engage you in a very deep way. Now introduce within this side-to-side pulsation in the fold, the footwork or the dance. So keep the pelvis moving side to side, but start to let the hips turn one leg at a time. Let the feet leave the stuck place they were just in, that parallel space, which is fine. Let the heels pop up. You start to really find your dance. But the overall movement is still side to side. You push the hands so much more, that the belly lifts away from the ground. And you're deeply engaging the core like you're going to lift up into a handstand suddenly. Turn the biceps forward. You can walk your hands around too. Your feet might drift apart. You end up in a very wide fold, moving side to side. Okay, now what we're going to do, everyone, is hop the right foot back behind you over the midline, crossing in your fold. Now continue to move. The left leg is in front. Your hips are going to move more diagonally now between the feet. But see what you can do, see what you can find. Just really go slow enough. Take care of yourself. Wow. Working. Moving like you're moving in water, but moving the planet is even deeper. Now, what we're going to do is turn to your right a quarter turn. Turn your whole body a quarter turn to your right. Stay on the left leg and walk your hands forward, hovering the right foot, and go all the way out into a lunge. Set the right foot forward and you're in a lunge. So move around in this shape. See what you can do. So very much into the hips. Try turning the right leg out. Try lifting the right heel. Try rolling onto the top of the back foot. Again, just giving you ideas for variations. And then go ahead and fold the right leg like you would in yoga in a pigeon. And come down onto the forearms. Tuck the right heel just inside the left hip. Keep the right knee over to the right a bit. And get on the front of the right shin. and the top of the right foot, and the back toes, instead of pointed, are tucked under. Push the elbows down, lift the diaphragm, lift the back of the heart, spreading the shoulder blades, pressing the head into a sky pillow. Lift the kidneys even more, and then slide your right leg back into a forearm plank. Now turn your pelvis to the right a little and touch the left hip to the floor for a moment and come back up. Turn your hips to the left, touch the right hip down, come back up. Keep going, switching sides each time. Go slow. Put it together in the breath. Put it together in the core. Turning the hips or touching the front pocket of your blue jeans to the floor each time you turn. Pull the hands away from each other. Keep the kidneys up. Good. Now, come up to straight arm plank. Full plank. Walk backwards towards your feet. Bend the knees and continue to move side to side. As you do this, come up to standing. Keep moving side to side as you come up to standing. So, resting at standing. Hips moving side to side gently, just keeping the energy moving. There's a gentle push side to side, the feet moving the ground side to side. So grab on with your toes. Grab on the core of the foot, lifting up through the midline. Good, everyone. And drop down into your squat. Any squat will do. Move around in the squat. So this is all spontaneous, not planned, just playing around in these human shapes. Loosen the neck, loosen the eyes. And then lift the hips and move side to side again. So when you move, you can do all kinds of things. I mean, it's limitless really, but a good general guideline is to start letting the hips and the torso move together, and the head all moving side to side, brushing across the sky. Lift the kidneys. Stronger and slower. So this is a choice to engage more deeply. Put the hands down on the planet, turn the hands out, palms are down, knees are bent, and you're moving the top of the planet side to side. She loves it, this interaction. Each of us in our way are organisms. We're just cells of a greater organism, right? Living earth, living cosmos. When you're not just working your body here. You're realigning, you're reconnecting. It's like a fundamental purpose, to just be. Come into being. Relax your neck, everybody. Look around as you move side to side. Now the footwork. You start letting the feet go all over the place. Slower and stronger. You can drop your hips halfway to the floor like you're heading towards a squat. Still, the side to side is your rhythm. Okay, now we're going to drop the left foot back behind us over the midline, crossing right over left, basically, and you continue to move. And And so everywhere you feel that stretch, you've got to slow down and strengthen, and breathe openly, wildly. Now, if you turn to your left, a quarter turn all your toes in that same direction. Stay on your right leg, walk your hands forward and hover your left foot as you go. Go as far as you can, crawl and step the left foot into a lunge. Move around in the shape of the lunge. Soften the process of breath, how we meet the breath softens. The belly is strong, the body is a strong vessel. Wow. Now fold the left leg into your pigeon. Come on down for a brief reprieve, a little respite. Remember to point the left toes back into the right. Get on the top of the left foot and the front of the left shin. Left knees over to the side, your left side. Back toes tucked under. Give a very soft lift of the kidneys. Very soft lift of the lumbar and the heart and the back of the head. Kind of pressing the legs into the ground. Go ahead and slide the left leg back into plank. Turning the hips, dropping, just touch the floor. Turn the other way so you're twisting your forearm plank very consciously. Keep the buttocks on to stabilize the sacrum. Usually the buttocks go offline. Focus on keeping the kidneys really light. Working the upper belly. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Loosen the eyes. Isn't this great? Good, now straight arm plank. Now walk your feet towards your hands. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should feel your shoulders. Drop down into a squat. Have a seat. Sit however you like. Yeah. Let the breath, your heart rate's elevated. It's supposed to be. Especially if you're in New Mexico, northern New Mexico. Let the heart, give it room to thunder, but be soft at the same time. Let the lungs be warm and transparent. Healthy boundaries. Let the kidneys sit back a little. The shoulders spread out. If there's any residual tension in the neck, give it some TLC with every exhale. All right, so let's do a little bit more. We're going to get into another fold. Now, however you do this is up to you. Get into a wide-legged fold. Okay, and that transition from sitting is significant. So in the wide fold, we're going to get into a rhythm of side squats, and then we're going to add a piece. So first of all, with the hands on the ground, starting with the feet relatively parallel, move side to side, the hips. And then you're going to start dropping towards a side squat on one side. Now, you can do this all kinds of ways. I'm going to go to my left, and I'm going to be on the ball of the foot. So here's a side squat. And the long leg knee is bent, toes up. You can also have this left leg turned out, just so long as the knee and the foot point in the same direction. Okay? So moving to the other side, use your hands, powerfully lift, slide across, and drop carefully in on the right. Now, again, to support the knees, you need a very active foot. If the toes are lifting tentatively, dig in with your toes, lift the core of the foot, and it will support the knee. So on your own, very slowly shifting side to side, very much tracking all of the complexity of what's happening here in the hips, and the knees, the ankles, the feet, the whole body. And you'll start to open up in the hips just from the movement, where you can keep the hips a little lower to the ground when you change sides. Ooh, wow. Keep going, keep going. Use your whole body, every cell, every fiber. Okay, now drop over onto your left side, side squat. I'll wait for you. And what we're going to do, right, is we're going to take the right hand outside the right leg. Now, reach your left arm way out in front of the left knee and slowly drop the left heel to the floor. Then lay the right hip down. With the right hand outside, you're going to roll to your right and do that same kind of push-up we were doing earlier. Use your left hand if you need to. And then come back up. Climb out. Slide over to the right. Saw through the face. Dropping on the right side, lay the left hand outside the left leg. Slowly lower the right heel. Then roll and push left. Keep the left shoulder blade right up against the thoracic spine. And back up. Exit. Let's do a few rounds. Pushing over to the left. Take care of yourself. Please. Let the heel come down, the hip, then the roll. And over to the right. Slow and smooth. So it's just practice. Rhythm and repetition. Dropping the heel. Rolling left. Coming back up. One more per side. To the left. Left side squat. Bonus points for popping knees. Just releasing energy. Realigning. Coming back up. And last one on the right. How's everybody doing? You're looking good, everyone. Everybody has that savage hair this morning. It's nice. Let the right heel come down, push left. Oh, yeah, good. And come back up. To the wide legs. Okay, and then gather your feet together and consciously come up to standing. All right. Standing. Look down at your feet. Turn the feet parallel with each other. And they're going to be relatively close. Drop your left foot back just a little bit. So an asymmetrical stance. Bend the knees and drop down into the pelvis a little bit, coiling. And then we're going to move the whole body front to back very slowly. So when you load into the front leg, most of your weight's on your right leg. You're going to get a little bit of a back bend here. Very strong through the front. And then rock back, you'll look down a little and load the back leg more. So just as we have been doing metaphorically, try to, when you pull forward and you get hips forward, you're pulling the ground back with your feet. When you move your hips back, you're pushing the ground forward with your feet, moving the planet. So we've gone through sort of keep going on your own. We've gone through this series of metaphors, starting with moving as if we're moving in water, which gives us this sense of a change of tone through the body, right? And the metaphor becomes real. You create the water. And then we moved into something more viscous, like honey or molasses, which is much more viscous and difficult to move in. It requires more patience and more strength. Then we moved to pushing clay. Now we're moving the whole planet. So So dig in. What you're going to start to do now is you lean forward, you're going to pick up the back foot a little bit. And then when you lean back, you're going to pick up the front foot a little bit. And get creative in your dance. Where the arms begin to move, you start to let energy kind of have its way to move through you creatively, creative process. We all have our patterns. Like, I'm never going to shed the martial arts I did for like 18 years, and it's there. But you have your patterns, you have your dance. Play with it. Floating the light foot. And you're working, you should be like really on right now. Your legs are going, how long are we going to be on this side? That's the voice. Can we please? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Check this out. You're just going to step your left foot. Just take a step, everybody. So human, right? And you switch sides. Left foot in front. So rocking forward and back. Start small. Don't lift the feet yet. Just get into the rhythm. That's the pulsation, the essence of dance, the essence of movement. Rhythm. Forward and back. Push the earth forward to move your hips back. Pull the earth back to move the hips forward. You can even use your arms. You can push the air to move back like this. And you can pull forward ground and air. Yeah. Nice. And you can start to float the light foot. The front foot if you're leaning back, and the back foot if you're leaning forward. And yeah, you could just go through the motions. You could do this really chill, super soft. That's cool. Engage. Like really engage. Move earth. Moving earth. Moving water. Beautiful. Keep it going. Keep it going. Nice. Nice. Okay. Now, switch sides again. Right foot in front, left foot in back. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to add one piece. Is now you're free to find your footwork. So you can start rotating legs independently of each other. You still move front to back, and you can still lift the light foot. But you want to try to see what you can do with your creative self. So the right leg is in the lead, but other than that, you're playing with rotation mostly in the hips, how much you bend your knees. Can the legs turn in different directions? Like right now I have both legs crossing the midline, which feels really amazing. You want to try that, you turn your back leg in, front leg in. And when you rock back, you can almost do an eagle. You have like the right knee resting on top of the left. One idea. This time to turn around so we don't fatigue. Turn, pivot to your left, 180 degrees. You end up with the left leg forward and continue dancing. Now when you rotate the hips, be sure to point the same side knee and foot together. So the left knee and the left toes, right knee and the right toes point more or less in the same direction within each leg. Otherwise, you can tangle up the knee. Floating foot, check in with your belly, touch the belly, strong mesh of the whole body corset is alive. Now turn a quarter turn to your right, and you'll come out. Reorient yourself so you can see what you need to see. Feet are parallel again, look down. They feel parallel, sometimes they're usually turned out. Lay your hands on the hips. And very, very soft. Moving the planet, move the hips side to side. Just a little, just start small. Don't tuck the pelvis, right? The groin is deep, the sits bones are deep. Kidneys deep. Move the ground side to side. The hips move the opposite way. The head for now is floating over the midline. Try to connect to the feeling of your entire side body and how this is a dance between the two sides as they relate to the midline and to each other. So the midline is a bow pulsing side to side. it's quite strong, as always. To move the planet, you got to really show up. Now, see, the side-to-side movement is pretty much a straight line, right, in the pelvis. Now make it slightly elliptical. So now you're going to come a little bit into a back bend as you go across, and then a little bit into a forward bend as you go back across the other way. And you can change the direction of the orbit whenever. It's kind of like hula hooping in slow motion, but pay attention to the shape of the ellipse, painting that ellipse on the ground through the sits bones. Very, very fluid. Change directions of the orbit. What we're going to start to do is take the light foot off the floor. Right? Come across to the other side and you take the other foot off the ground. You can also start to turn the hips in various directions because it looks cool. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at this.
Awesome.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. So, floating the free foot. Oh man, it's so powerful when every cell, every fiber is online with a smile. Oh man, yeah. Okay, 30 seconds, everybody. Tone the arms, tone the whole body. This is a resonant field. Okay, put both feet down and let the rhythm continue, but it's smaller. As it relaxes into itself. The flower closing in the evening. Unlock the knees, really grab onto the ground, but without fear or control. It's just a soft yes to grabbing onto the clay of the earth. All right. So this next thing might challenge you a little bit. Take it really easy. What we're going to do is come down to a squat. So go ahead and do that. So from standing, everyone, what you want to do is you want to drop down. Let me prepare the camera a little better. Hold on. So what we're going to do is drop down into a symmetrical squat. And the heels can be up. It's fine. Okay, then what we're going to do is roll onto the balls of the feet, put the hands down, and just flirt with a handstand. Then re-squat. Nice, and stand up. Now, take the left foot back just a little bit, like we have been doing. Drop down into an asymmetrical squat. Now, all of the right foot is down, you're on the ball of the left foot. Put the hands down, and again, re-squat, right foot forward, and stand slow. Switch the way the legs are set up. Left foot forward. Consciously drop. Keep breathing. Set the hands, head down, kick, re-squat, left foot forward, and stand. Right? And this is so fun. We're going to keep going. So symmetrical. Take the feet a little wider. Turn the legs a little bit out. As you drop to your squat, the knees point out with the feet. Down to the squat. Roll up. Re-squat. Go ahead and stand. Tracking. Left foot back. Same as before. Asymmetrical squat. Anybody feeling the legs? Of course you are. Kick up. Re-squat. Right foot forward. And stand. Float. Breathe. Left foot forward. Dropping down. Rolling up. Re-squat. Left foot leads. And stand. Now pause for a moment before we do the last round. lightly tap the collarbones, chest. If you know any other forms of touch, self-release, then enjoy. Tap the neck very lightly, the sides, the front, the back. The belly. Just bringing awareness. Okay, now this last time, same thing, but we do 3 attempts on the jump up at each position. So dropping down to the squat. And then 1 kick up. Re-squat fully. Then go again. Re-squat. And then 3rd. Re-squat. And stand. Ooh, left foot back. Dropping down. 3, 1 of 3. Kick up. Just play with it. Try to drop your head more instead of looking at the floor. That's 2. And then 3. And re-squat. And stand. Switch the legs, left foot forward. Come on down. And 1. Re-squat between each roll up and kick. And 1 more time. And re-squat and stand. Thank your legs and your shoulders. Pause. Unlock everything. Get behind the breath. Give it more space. Beautiful, everyone. Now, from here, bend the knees. Fold through the key of folding, right? Stay here for a moment. And work out any entanglements in the low back. Go ahead and come down and have a seat. Any way you want. Just take a moment of pause before we get into the last phrase that we'll repeat a handful of times. While you're sitting, just a reminder for a reset, let the pelvis fall back, let the pelvis roll back. The spine rounding and dropping the chin, even the shoulders round, is a very conscious flexion of the spine and the pelvis, posterior rotation. And then hook your sits bones into the fabric of the ground and pull the earth back to roll the pelvis upright and forward until you're in a back bend, looking up, the head up last, very strong through the front diaphragm, down through the front belly. Keep the eyes up. Let the pelvis fall back by itself. And that wave moves up the spine, behind the heart, rounding the shoulders, dropping the head last. Keep the head down, pull the ground back with your sitting bones, and all the way to the back bend. Keep the head up as the pelvis falls back. Last time. The chin falling at the very last. And then pulling the ground back with the sits bones just to upright, not all the way to the front, but very close to the front. So you can't get any taller. Diaphragm releases back, chest open, the back open, cranium slides back and you lean back against your aspen. All right, so we're going to get into this sequence and start sitting with the right leg in front if you're not already. Okay, so it starts pretty simply. What we're going to do is just bow forward and slide your hands out. Go as far as you can. And then with your hands forward, sweep, while you're still folded forward, sweep your hands out to the sides behind you as you come up. Now you're going to grab onto the ground behind you, putting the hands down like this. Fingers away from each other, getting the wrists relatively close together. Grab on with the fingertips, and what we're going to do is get into a back bend here by pushing the sitting bones down and back, lifting the chest. Now, using the shoulders, stretch the fabric of the ground between your hands, pulling the hands away from each other, and start to pulse side to side. So you're throwing the earth side to side lovingly with your sits bones, your pelvis, your legs, and your hands. Keep the neck open. Try not to spill out through the belly or the front of the diaphragm, but really pull the hands away from each other the whole time, moving side to side. Okay, and then we're going to come up, slowly release, and then slide your left hand way out in front of your left knee on that sort of 45-degree slant. Lean into it. Let the right hip come off the floor. And we're going to come back up. And then familiar to you this morning, over on the right side, one or two hands, a side bend push. Let the left leg, left hip come off the floor. Okay, now the fun part. Come all the way up, go over to the other side. Everyone take two hands. And what you're going to do is fly your right leg like you did earlier. But then, turning onto your belly, press both legs back, come up and left leg forward in a lunge. Okay, so that was something like this. Let's do that together. Sit with your right leg in front. We'll just do the last bit. So go over to your right side and push. And then come back up. Look to your left. You get to both hands down. Start with just the right leg flying. Then as you roll onto your belly, both legs, lift up, left leg forward in a lunge. Okay, move around in the lunge. Explore. Everything is a transition. Now, we're going to slowly turn all the way around to the right, 180 degrees. Now come up onto your fingertips, both hands inside the right foot. Let the back leg turn a little bit forward. Pick up the back heel and unlock the back knee. If you remember the way I used to guide side angle in yoga, you want to be really, really strong through the back leg, but don't lock the knee. Hover the left heel. Now, take the left hand off the floor and lift the whole left side of the body. Lift the whole left side of the body. Don't lock the left knee. Bend the right knee forward past the tricep. Sink the left heel further back without touching. Breathe. Don't hold it. Breathe it. Breathe it. Oh, yeah. I forget what comes next, so we'll just be here for a while. Okay, put both hands down inside your right leg, step back to plank. Okay, you ready? Turn your hips a little bit to the left and lower the right outer hip almost to the floor, arms straight, come back up. Turn the hips to the right. Lower the left hip down, just touch, come back up. Keep the arms straight. Go back and forth a few times. You need stronger buttocks, stronger belly for sacrum and hips and low back. Breathe. Turn the biceps forward. Try to land the hips close to the midline. Okay, now one more time. And when you get your right hip down, fold the right leg underneath you. Sit down. Sit up. Right leg is folded in front. Left leg maybe ended up over there to the left. Good. Now, lean in on the left side and pull the back of the left heel down enthusiastically. While you're here, you're going to lean back a little bit, just outside the leg. Then come a little bit inside the leg with the torso. So you're sweeping the side bend, medial and lateral. Oh my goodness. Ooh, breathe, find your way. Now, as you come up, fold your left leg in, catch hold of your right foot with one or two hands. Left leg folds, you're just going to fly the right leg around in space very slowly. Now the key to this is to pull and push. Pull with the hands, push with the leg until that pull and push equalize each other. And it gives you a sense of groundedness, of almost stillness within the movement. And then land, sitting with the right leg in front again. And here's the transition to the other side. Look to your left. You're going to turn to your personal left through a rotating series of squats all the way around 360, and your left leg ends up in front. Isn't that cool? It's not that cool, really. All right, here we go. So slide the hands forward, everyone, way out in front of you. Folding, pull the knees away from each other as you go without the feet moving. To activate, hollow the belly away from the ground. Then arc your hands way out to the sides while you're still leaning in. Come up, turn the hands out, plant the palms behind you, stretch the ground, find your back bend, and then move side to side. But use your hips too, move the earth. Soften the neck. You can look around. So to stay very strong in the shoulders while the neck is supple is a great healing for the entanglement of the neck and shoulders, which is so common. And coming up, you're going to slide your right hand way out in extension of the right knee, letting the left hip come off the floor. Now that stretch in the left hip, turn on the left glutes, turn on the left belly, and then come up. And you're going to side bend to your left with a push, one or two hands. Right hip flies. Pick up the left shoulder head away from the ground. Then come up, look to your right. Both hands, lean into it. Fly your left leg way out to your left heel, higher than the toes. Then push the right leg out, roll onto your belly, pop up, right leg forward in a lunge, and move. See, you're just really good at getting up and down off the ground. Long lunge stance. And then we're going to walk, turn, pivot all the way around to your left, 180 degrees. Now, turn the back leg a little bit in from 90 degrees, about 70 degrees out. The heel off the floor, the right knee bent a little bit, way up on your fingertips. So right here, keeping the hands down, just bend the left knee forward past the tricep and cut the right heel down and back. Unlock the back knee. Try to work the back of the right leg. Lift the whole right side of the body. You can take your right hand off the floor. Look down and lift the right hip. Bend the knee, the left knee. Good. Now plank, both hands inside the left leg. Turn the left hip towards the floor. Drop. Lift. Turn the hips to the left, right hip towards the floor. Turn the glutes on, everyone. Go back and forth a few times. Try to smooth the breath through the dynamic moment. The next time the left hip comes down, fold the left leg underneath you. Sit. Right leg out to the side. Right leg bent. Lean in over the right side. And then start to sweep the spine in your side bend a little bit inside the leg and then a little bit outside the leg. You see, the context of complex variation is what is so healing and so informative. Really work every fiber so you don't even feel a stretch. You feel something much more yummy. It's been shown that stretch without strength is traumatic for the tissue. So this is lacking function, and we need to really engage and lengthen at the same time. Now, as you come up, take your left foot with one or two hands, fold your right leg in, and fly the left leg around. So establish the pull of the back and the push of the leg until they're equal to each other. And maintain that as you play with flying the kite. Try variations of rotation in the hip, bending of the knee, articulating the ankle, plantar and dorsiflexion, toes flexing and extending. And then bring the left leg down in front. Spin to your right. Keep the hips low. Turn all the way around through the squat. And you turn 360 and the right leg is in front. The last part's your favorite, isn't it? Okay, let's go through this whole sequence again. Start by sliding the hands forward. We're almost done. Pick up the diaphragm, bow the head, spread, turn the biceps towards the ceiling, and then sweep your arms way out to the sides and behind you as you come up. Grab onto the ground. Now the hands turn away from each other. Push the palms all the way down, stretch the ground, and move side to side as you back bend. But include the hips. I know it's definitely getting your attention in the shoulders, but include the hips. Moving the ground side to side, slower and stronger and softer at the same time. Great. Now I'm going to come back up. Slide your left hand way beyond the left knee. So lean into it. Right hip should leave the ground. Bring the kidneys back. Stay a little more forward on the left sitting bone. Left bicep towards the ceiling. And then come up. And then you go straight over to your right side. Right hand down or both hands down. Do a push on the right. Watch the right shoulder head. Keep it away from the ground and away from your ear. Come back up. Now over on your left side, everyone, both hands. Fly the right leg way out to your right. Roll onto your belly, both legs. Come up. Step the left foot forward into a lunge. Move around. Clearing the right hip from anything that just caught on in that last little move, the abduction of that right hip. Feel the joints adjusting, realigning. Take care of the bones. So turning around to your right 180 degrees. Set the back leg turned a little bit forward. Come up onto the fingertips inside the right leg. Unlock the left knee. Relax the neck. And lifting the left hip as you bring your right hip more underneath you, cut the left heel and the right knee away from each other powerfully. Maybe float the left hand off the floor. Touch the face of the left hip and lift the left hip as you bend even more into the front leg. Reach through the left heel. Good. Both hands down. Step the right foot to plank. Dip the right hip towards the midline. Long arms. Come up. Left hip. Turning the feet as you go. Right hip down. And left hip down. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one doing this. And then turn the right hip towards the floor. Swing the right leg underneath you. And then sit. I'm just messing with you. Mostly. Lean in over on the left side like this. Now the knee is still bent. And we're going to sweep the torso inside and outside the left leg. Be very conscious of the low belly. Let the low belly stay close to the sacrum. Turn the buttocks on. Why do I say that so much? Because they tend to be offline. Oh my goodness. Now as you come up, switch the legs, catch hold of the right foot, left leg folds, and pull and push, and fly. Strong and smooth, as the strength smooths itself out, this relational field of pull and push, so graceful in time. Now set the right leg down in front. Pause. Turn to your left, spin. Slow, slow, slow. Yeah. Left leg ends up in front. Last time, everybody. Slide the hands forward. One more go. Broaden the thighs, the inner thighs moving away from each other, stretching the ground wide underneath you. Arc the hands out to the sides, fingertips behind you, coming up. Grab the ground, turn laterally with the hands pushed down. Stretch the hands away from each other, back bend. Loosen the neck and move side to side. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Open the kidneys behind you. Move the ground with the whole body. Now we're going to release and come up. Slide the right hand way beyond the right thigh. Let the left hip float. Turn the right bicep towards the ceiling. And then we're going to come up and push on the left side, one or two hands. You've done quite a lot of this. I'm getting a little bit positively pumped here in the shoulders and coming up. They really need it too. Now on your right side, both hands, fly the left leg. Then roll onto your belly, both legs, right leg forward in a lunge and move around. So here's a variation. Hop the back leg across the midline. Maybe you get onto the top of the back foot. Lower the left hip close to the ground. I'm just giving you ideas. Turn the front leg out. The right knee and toes to the right. Just ideas. Find your own textures and colors. We're going to turn around to the left 180 degrees. Keep the back heel just off the floor. The back leg turned mostly like 70, 80 degrees out. Hands inside the front foot. Start by just softening the eyes and move the right heel and left knee opposite each other. Unlock the back knee the whole time. Now pick up the right side hip, the whole right side body. Pick up the right kidney, right hand off the floor. Breathe, very powerful. And then hands down, step the left leg to plank. Left hip dips first. Arms straight. Right hip. So you lift back up to plank and then turn. And turn. And next time your left hip comes down, fold the left leg underneath you. Sit, right leg out to the side, lean in. Now get the breath to the pelvis, everyone. Breath to inside the pelvis and to the face of the sacrum. Sweep the torso inside the right leg. And then outside the right leg. And inside the right leg, pulling the right heel down the entire time. And outside the right leg. One more time, inside. And outside. And as you come up, switch the way the legs are. You take the left foot in with one or two hands. And pull, and push, and fly. Free, be free. I'm going to set the left leg in front. Pause. Turn to your right. Slow. Keep the hips low. Squatting. Variations of squatting all the way around and sit. And then go ahead and lay down, everyone. Go ahead and lay down. Now there's one more piece I want to do. A little bit of a bonus round. Walk your feet in towards your hips. And this shape of supine, right? Walk your feet in and rest for a moment. Keep the feet almost touching and the knees the same. And then what we're going to do is, without tucking the pelvis, lift the hips off the ground just an inch. So your buttocks and tail are almost touching. You start to move the hips side to side, an inch off the floor. Now, while the hips are elevated very little and you're not quite touching the buttocks, drop the kidneys a little bit so the kidneys are almost brushing the floor. Moving side to side, the whole lower body moving as one. Now go over to your left side and then lift up as high as you can through the hips. Pull the shoulders into the ground. Now come back down on the left side, just an inch off the floor, and then cruise across to the other side, just off the ground. Lift way up on the right side. Come down on the right side, hovering, and go across. Over to the left. Pick up way up on the left side. More weight on the left shoulder than the right. Come down the left, float across the middle, just off the floor. Go way up the right side, and come down the right. So on your own, you only switch when you get low across the bottom. You lift up on one side, drop on that same side, and then cruise to the other side. Make sure that you're not leading with the diaphragm. Pick up the hips and drop the kidneys. Lifting and dropping on the side, across the middle. Pull the feet straight down to get a higher lift. Okay, and then we're going to find the center at the bottom and go ahead and lay the pelvis down and extend the legs out and rest. Push the heels a little bit further downstream. Grateful for the experiences in our life that really get in there and stir us up. This is proactive, conscious. Excuse me. So to choose it, how much space there is around the sacrum right now. The pelvic floor, and the soles of the feet. The cranium, and all of the organs of the mind. Take your time. If you're at home, of course, you can just continue if you like, just to continue to rest. Otherwise, making your way up to a seat, consciously transitioning. Beautiful movement, everyone, as always. Thank you for sharing your Saturday and yourselves. It's an honor. Blessings and gratitude. We'll see you soon. I'm going to stop the recording.